We're going to do a split squat on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great exercise to develop hip and lower leg and ankle stability, especially following an injury. So I'm going to have Shelby come up here, put her foot on the disc, and she's going to lower herself down into a split squat position and simply hold at about parallel to the ground with her femur. This is going to be a great way to start to challenge. You can see her working at her ankle and her foot, as well as her hip and her whole leg to develop some stability there. From there, we can progress to an active split squat. So I'm going to have her just come up, lower down slowly, control that descent as we can see the ankle and foot moving, and work through that for a few reps to continue to challenge that stability of her foot and ankle and hip. We're going to do a single leg hold on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great exercise to develop hip and ankle stability. So I'm going to have Shelby step right up on here. We want her to sink into that knee a little bit so she can utilize her hip and quad muscles. And we want to just see that she's able to manage stability at the foot, ankle, knee, and hip. After progressing this for time, if we want to add a challenge, we can start to make it dynamic. So we're going to progress into a single leg deadlift or reach to continue to add a little bit of instability to the movement. So I'm going to have you reach that hand out towards that wall, reach that back foot back, nice and slow. And you see it becomes significantly more challenging. That's the point. We want to try to challenge her foot and ankle stability. Start with a smaller range of motion, easy reach. You don't have to go quite as deep. Come right back up. And then as we start to gain some stability, we can start to go a little bit deeper into the movement to continue to challenge her multiplanar stability at the lower body. We're going to do a single leg stability hold on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great exercise to develop multiplanar stability in the hip, knee, ankle, and foot. So I'm going to have Shelby step right up on here. She's going to sink into her knee a little bit so she can utilize her hip and quad and lower leg muscles. And we're just going to progress this for time. So over time, we'll just add a longer duration to the movement. And then if we want to continue to challenge her, we can start to make it more dynamic. So we're going to progress into a single leg deadlift reach that's going to make it a little bit more challenging from a multiplanar stability standpoint. So I'm going to have her simply reach out towards me, sit back into the hip, and start with a small range of motion to make it a little bit easier. As you want to challenge them, they can go deeper into the movement, sinking into the knee and the hip, further challenging the multiplanar stability in the movement. We're going to do a plank stability hold on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great exercise to develop glenohumeral as well as scapular thoracic stability at the shoulder, as well as some trunk stability. So I'm going to have Shelby come down, put one hand onto the disc pillow here, have her split her feet out to give herself a little stability. And we're going to first start by just having our client hold this for time. Once they can start to do this for a longer duration, they've developed some basic static stability on here, we can start to provide a little instability with our hands, add a little bit of perturbation to the movement to further challenge them. Again, we want to work on having them be able to centrate that joint, hold that position, as well as maintain their trunk and pelvic position throughout the entire exercise. We're going to do a crunch hold on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great isometric core exercise to challenge the anterior anti-extension muscles of the abdominals. So I'm going to have Shelby come down. She's going to put her pelvis and low back on the top of this ball. This is going to provide some support, but it's also going to be a little bit of instability in multiple planes. We want her to think about tightening these abdominal muscles, reaching those arms out in front of her, and then we're going to cue this by having her breathe for time. So big breath in the nose, big breath out. Good. Once they can hold that for a little while, we're going to challenge her by simply lengthening the lever. So what I want her to do is reach those arms up over the head actively, try to get them overhead. That's going to challenge her anti-extension core muscles. Then she's going to come right back down. And we're just going to program this for reps. Have her exhale and reach, lengthen that lever, reach those hands up towards the ceiling, come back. And we're going to challenge her ability to maintain that relationship between her rib cage and her pelvis. We're going to do a single leg bridge on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great exercise for the glutes, hamstrings, and posterior chain. So I'm going to have Shelby come down. She's going to lay on her back. We're going to have her put one heel up on the disc pillow. We're going to cue her to dorsiflex her toes up towards her shin. We want to see her bring that knee up towards her chest, kind of locking down her pelvis. And we're just going to start with an isometric hold for a beginner. So I want you to think big breath in the nose, exhale, draw those ribs down, brace your abdominals, and then I want to see you bridge that hip up. We want to see that they can maintain a straight line from their shoulder all the way up to their knee. Again, after they can hold this for time, maybe 10, 15 seconds, then we're going to start to progress towards active reps. So we can come back down, and I want to see her breathe and brace on each rep, lift up, hold for a couple seconds, and come back down. So we're going to bridge up, hold. I'm always going to keep cueing that knee up towards the chest, cue that dorsiflexion, come back down, and we're going to have her progress by adding reps over time here. We're going to do a half kneeling hold on the disc pillow. This is a great initial exercise with someone following a hip injury to start to develop multiplanar stability in those hip muscles. So I'm gonna have Shelby kneel down, put her right knee on the pad, left leg in front. We wanna see a good half kneeling position so her foot is right underneath her knee, this knee is right underneath her hip. The instability of the disc pillow for someone who's a beginner might be enough to challenge them to be able to hold that position. Furthermore, if we want to progress it, we can just start to provide a little instability for them. We want to see that she's able to maintain position of her trunk and pelvis, and we can just start to come behind them and push and challenge their ability to keep that hip underneath them. We want to see that they don't sway their hip out to the side, they don't bend forward, they don't bend backwards. We want to just see that she's able to maintain a nice tall pillar position throughout the exercise. We're going to do a side plank on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great lateral stability frontal plane exercise for the obliques. So I'm going to have Shelby come down, put one elbow on the disc pillow here. We want to see that she has a nice straight line from her elbow all the way up to the shoulder. So she has some good support here at her scap. Stack your legs on top of each other. Think about squeezing them tight together. Kind of crunch those anterior abdominals, and we're going to lift up. We want to see a nice straight line from her head all the way down to her feet. We're going to have her do this for time. I want her to think about throughout the exercise breathing in the nose, out the mouth to utilize those abdominal muscles. Now, if this progression is too hard, we can simply regress her by having her go from a short lever side plank from the knees. So put her legs down on the ground, bring those heels back towards her butt. And now we're simply just going to shorten that lever to make it a little bit easier. Bridge right up. Think about squeezing those legs together tight. And this is going to be a nice regression until they're ready to go back to that normal side plank. We're going to do a bird dog exercise on the disc pillow. This is going to be a great core as well as hip extension exercise. So I'm going to have Shelby go down. She can put her left knee on the pad in a quadruped position. We want to see their knees are under her hips, her hands are under the shoulders. I want to first cue her to get some good stability in her upper back. So screw the hands on the ground, create some tension here. And we're going to first start by just doing a hip extension bird dog. So she can take a big breath in the nose. Exhale, create some anterior core stability, lift that knee up off the ground to level out her pelvis, and then she's going to reach that heel up towards the ceiling. And we want to see that she's able to maintain a nice flat trunk position while she extends that hip, come back down. Let's do one more rep here. She's going to reset. Big breath in, big breath out. Tension in the abdominals, lift, extend that hip out. We want to just see that the only thing that moves is that hip. From there, if we want to progress her, we're just going to add a diagonal reach. So we're going to have her reach with that opposite arm. So as she lifts that leg up, she's also going to lift the hand up, reach out, hold for a second, come back down. Let's do one more rep. Big breath in, big breath out, lift up, reach the arm out. Now she has more multiplanar stability in the trunk. So this is a great way to challenge both trunk stability as well as hip extension in a quadruped position.